And we're joined now by Texas Republican Congressman Michael McCaul. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So your Republican colleagues in the Senate have been working hard on trying to get this bill together, and they're probably going to eke it past.
Right.
But that's even with GOP lawmakers like Tom Tillis saying they can't stomach what this is going to do to Medicaid, an estimated $930 billion in cuts to it. That's more significant than what you all had voted to do in the House. Are you going to vote again for final passage if it looks like this?
No, I'm going to vote for it for this reason. I think these numbers, it's all about waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare and Medicaid. What I'm voting for is a border security measure, $80 billion, $12 billion to reimburse states like mine. I'm voting for $150 billion that will go to our Department of Defense at a time when we saw with Iran is desperately needed. The world is on fire, Eastern Europe, Indo-Pacific, and then the tax cuts. I mean, if we don't extend these tax cuts, it'll be the largest tax increase in American history. For those three reasons, I'm a yes. I think everyone in the House, they know the peril they're in if they vote no on this thing.
What do you mean the peril they're in?
I think, first of all, it's good for the nation. Secondly, they know that their jobs are at risk. Not just from the president, but from the American people. Our base back home will not reelect us to office if we vote no on this.
But is it about reelection or is it about
no? It's about
policies, right?
It's about what's great for the country, and I've outlined the three top points.
But to help me understand then, you have such narrow margins in the House.
Yeah. And
you look at these projections from like the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, they say it violates the House instructions by $500 billion or more, what the Senate just put together here, and that deficits could rise more than $3 trillion. How do you get that through when you have fellow conservatives who are fiscal hawks and saying, I can't get with this? Like,
not to get into the weeds on the economics, but the dynamic scoring is not taken into account here by the Congressional Budget Office. That means that when you cut taxes, you actually get increased revenues to the Treasury, and that's something we saw under President Kennedy, under President Reagan, and under President Bush.
Chip Roy and some of these other fiscal conservatives are going to come along for the ride?
Well, I think at the end of the day, I think they're going to vote for it.
You do. Let's talk about some of the threats that you mentioned there at home and abroad. You've been briefed on the actions against Iran. The IAEA director told us here that Iran has capabilities and could be up and running within a matter of months. Do you think it is an overstatement by the White House or a mistake to declare mission accomplished?
Well, first of all, I respect the IAEA. Their job is to inspect, not to be an intelligence agency. So they don't really have the clear intelligence analysis that I would attribute to our intelligence community, like the CIA. We met with Director Ratcliffe. It was not just his decision. These are career and intelligence officers that have been in the CIA for over 30 years that made this assessment that it was severely damaged and sets the program back a matter of years. In any event, the world in the Middle East is safer today than it was 7 days ago, a week ago. That is highlighted by the fact that the proxies didn't light up. Russia didn't come to their aid. China basically ran back for cover. Iran is on its own and psychologically is very damaged. The deterrence is real. The damage is real. This is a masterful military operation, the likes of which I haven't seen since my father's war, World War II.
So on the homeland front, do you then dismiss these concerns about threats? You have the National Terrorism Advisory System that says there's a heightened threat environment in the U.S. after these strikes. There were federal agents that arrested 11 foreign nationals from Iran, including one who had ties to Hezbollah. Have you seen specific evidence of any kind of threat here in the United States, or is it, as you say, just done and over with?
No, I have. We picked up 11 Iranians, one a sniper, one IRGC, another one a known suspected terrorist, just within the last couple of days.
But were they planning to do anything, or did they just happen to have those alliances from the past?
You know, I don't know all the details, but I will tell you the FBI briefed me in a defensive briefing after Soleimani was killed. I was a part of that.
Back in
that I was under indictment in Iran and that I was on that top target list. So, you know, look, is it imminent? I don't know. We have to take it seriously that there could be sleeper cells in the United States that could go after people like Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, myself, and others that were involved in that decision making, and including the President of the United States. We know he's been targeted.
When it comes to detention of migrants here in the United States, it's a high 59,000 detainees, according to ICE. 47% of them, though, lack a criminal record. Fewer than 30% have been convicted of crimes. Doesn't that show that the numbers, these aren't the worst of the worst?
Yeah. I was a federal prosecutor for many years, counterterrorism. You have to prioritize, right? I would prioritize the aggravated felons that Mayorkas let in defiance of federal law. It was shall detain. He said may detain, and let them out into the streets. I would prioritize that.
So you would prefer that Homeland Security prioritize them and not run up the numbers the way they are in the statistics?
Well, I think they're running the numbers up because 15 to 20 million people came under the Biden administration, and they're trying to get some sanity involved in the United States. And I think deterrence is the key here. And Margaret, it is working. The apprehension rate at the border, and Texas is the biggest one, has gone down to almost zero. I mean, the border is just about secure. Catch and release is over, and the threats are going away.
Mike McCaul, Congressman, thank you very much for your insights today.
Thanks, Margaret. Thanks for having me.